Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network with me, Izzy Phillips, and I'm joined as always by racing broadcaster and journalist Paul Alster and Jack Milner from Quiff. And we're going to be taking a look ahead to the Tingle Creek and the Becher Chase this weekend. So some really exciting racing coming up. We're going to kick things off at Sandown, where obviously they've got those railway fences to contend with in the Tingle Creek. If you're going racing this weekend, let's say you could have a reasonable day on Saturday, a little bit of rain around, but some sun. And if anything, I think it's just being mindful that those December temperatures have now hit and we are getting some quite chilly weather. So make sure you wrap up warm. But there isn't a massive amount of rain in the forecast. The going is currently described as good to soft at Sandown, and it's a really exciting field. At the top, we do have Mullins Star, Il Était Temps, who obviously got the better of John Bon in the celebration chase in April at Sandown. You've got Le de Sud for the Skeltons. John Bon, well, he really needs no introduction, but loves Sandown. You've then got Liberty Hunter in here for Evan Williams, and bringing up the ranks, who've got Boot Hill at around a massive 80-1 you can get in places on him. Paul, I'll come to you first. Are we getting any left field selections like Boot Hill, or do you fancy Il Était Temps to take this?
No left field selection from me in this race, I'm afraid. I think Il Était Temps is going to take a hell of a lot of beating. I mean, as you know, I don't like tipping favourites, and on my own service at Out in Front, it's all about big priced horses. But sometimes you just got to narrow it down to what you really think is going to happen. And with the greatest of respect to Jean Bon, who is a fabulous horse, so I really love that horse. He's been beaten both by Lo de Sud and Il Était Temps in his last two starts, and he's going to have to turn it around. They're putting the cheap pieces on for the first time to try and wheedle a little bit of extra out of him. And you wouldn't put it past him because he goes so well at Sandown. But I'll be surprised if he can turn it around with the younger horse. While Lo de Sud has £6 to find on official figures with Il Était Temps, and he's beaten very good horses, of course, including John Bon last time out. Whether John Bon was 100% sharp that day, I don't know. I think it's a different kettle of fish trying to beat the Mullins runner, who was just brilliant last season and has started off this season already at Clonmel by absolutely hacking up. So, bar a fall, I think it's going to be Il Était Temps' race for me.
Jack, do you agree, or do you think perhaps that John Bon could be a little bit overpriced considering his record round Sandown, obviously barring the celebration chase, but you can get a massive sort of like around 4-1 best price on him. Do you think that's too big?
He's definitely overpriced. Given the fact if on unofficial ratings he's got what £2 to find on the Mullins horse. He's had a wind up. Interesting that Nicky Henderson in my mind isn't one to kind of put headgear on horses unless he really thinks it's necessary. He will relent to that until okay, we need to make a change here. It was clear for me that John Bon wasn't fit last time out. The Skeleton horse was absolutely tuned up to be cherry ripe that day. I wouldn't fancy the Skeleton horse. You'll have to tell us. In my head, Le de Sud wants really soft ground. It is currently good to soft good in places on the chase course. On good ground, I think John Bon would be a really good price around 4. He's currently 4-1. I think that's stupid, but I seem to agree with Paul a lot. I don't know whether that's detrimental to myself or his selections, but Il Était Temps looks a potential superstar of the trip. He stays further. Yeah. You wouldn't be surprised if Paul was to stick him out in front and wouldn't kind of lead them a merry dance. But John Bon would be interesting. It's just I can't get out of my head what happened to Constitution Hill last week, and there was a couple of very detailed breakdowns of Nico in the saddle and just how he's kind of a little bit indecisive, and it's really hampering his actions in the saddle, I suppose. So I'd be interested to see how he feels, or if he's what his mood is, because it's another big pressure ride, right? If you're in the hot seat and you're the stable jockey said marriage, it comes with a great deal of pressure. It's like being a goalkeeper or a striker for Man United. You are going to be getting in the neck regardless, because your job is to win races. yeah, fascinating to see how Nico goes about it, but the Mullins horse should do the business. And yeah, great race. For me, growing up, the Tingle Creek was always one of my favourite races of the season. Moscow Flyer was the jump source that got me to fall in love with National Hub Racing, and then Sprinter Sacra, Altior, fabulous race. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, some real kind of stars of the stables have won this race. It is a very good indicator, isn't it, of that 2 mile champion chase that comes up at Cheltenham in March. My only consideration for this, and then as you guys know, I have a dangerous level of loyalty to Willie Mullins, but looking at the stable form at the moment, barring obviously what happened with Constitution Hill, Nicky Henderson is more in form currently than Willie Mullins. And that's the only thing that makes me wonder whether John Bond has sort of been a little bit unfairly written off, so to say. But I do think, looking at the basic form as it stands, Il Était Tombe should get the better here. That's quite a nice forecast, Il Était Tombe straight to beat John Bond, because I do think John Bond will turn the tables on Load of Sud. But I just don't think, even a slightly unfit Il Était Tombe should beat John Bond at his peak fitness, I would say, at the moment. I don't know why it's gone that way, because we all love John Bond. I think he is a bit of a fan favourite, and especially around Sandown. But I think the marker for me, and I do keep going back to it, was that Celebration Chase, and I think that's probably where I'd go with it, is a cheeky forecast to bring that up. But we've got sort of a little bit of a discussion of the market there. It is quite a short betting race if you fancy Il Était Tombe, but obviously you can get a little bit bigger if you do fancy something to beat him. Outside of that, though, at Sandown, a little earlier in the day, we will have the 120, which is the Potence qualifier. It is a 2 mile, 7.5 furlong hurdle race, and at the top of the market we have Kiki Joe for Callum Pritchard, and the Philip Hobbs team obviously had winner at the weekend, just gone. You've got Absolutely Doyen for the Nichols team, Chasing Fire. I swear we've discussed him a few times now on this podcast, for Ollie Murphy. Supremely West for the Skeltons, Turn Delights Down Low for Martin Keatley, the Lord Maid, Ikarak, Lavender Hill Mob for James Owen, obviously a winner last time out, Green Book and Hititi. Quite a good little race here. Obviously, it is a qualifier for that Potence. Paul, I don't know if you've noticed, but the hurdles course is actually described as soft already, whereas it's the chase course that's good to soft at Sandown. A little bit of rain in the forecast, so this is likely to stay as soft. Do you have a horse here that you think will quite like that soft ground? Where would your selection be?
I think there are a number of horses that are going to handle the conditions. I think this is a really trappy race, and I think it's indicated by the fact that, from what I can see at the moment, they're betting around 9-2 the field in a 10-runner race. So that tells you that the bookies are thinking that most of these have got a chance. Kiki Joe was pretty impressive at Cheltenham last time out when he won with a bid in hand. Now he's gone up £7, but Philip Hobbs and Johnson White have put Callum Pritchard on now to claim £3 back, so essentially only £4 higher. And he won there on soft ground. I think he's going to be quite a tough nut to crack. Lavender Hill Mob for James Owen got a beautiful ride from Sam Twist and Davis, the jockey, of course, with the worst initials in racing. But Lavender Hill Mob has gone up £8 since then. And, he does have that to overcome, but I would just wonder if he might improve again for the extra few furlongs. So I think he's a danger. I'm not convinced about Absolute Doyen for Paul Nicholls. I think he's got a little bit to find, especially off an £8 higher mark than his last win. But I think I'd just go with Kiki Joe. At the moment is about a 9-2 chance. And he looks to be on an upward trajectory, and if there's any more rain, he's one of the horses that will probably handle the softer ground better than most.
There was a really, really interesting run, Jack, and I don't know if you noticed it or remembered it, because I think me and Paul might have discussed it the other week. which was from Supremely West, who was in behind Kiki Joe at Cheltenham. And actually, if you look at the write-up from that race, and I remember it from the day, Harry Skelton had gone to the outside, the far side rail for most of the day, and then had a very successful day with Panic Attack winning and everything else. And then suddenly, on the hot favourite Supremely West, started to track Gown Road up the inside rail, which didn't appear to make any sense because, like I say, it favoured the far side the rest of the day. And Dan Skelton was actually called into the stewards for the poor run of Supremely West. Do you think he's a sort of horse that can come back? It's just interesting here that he's still got that top weight. So obviously they felt that they weren't necessarily going to take any weight off his back for this run. But do you think that Kiki Joe will keep that victory, or do you think that Supremely West could do a bit of a Langadan here and show a sudden change of form?
Langadang and be put away and be called for 6 months and suddenly be, be
Bit of
revitalized.
sun on his back.
He just loves to spring. Yeah. Don't we all that? If you look through his form, when he was third at the season over at Cheltenham, that was a really strong win. Marchand too was a horse that basically had a stone by length for the Emma Bell Yard. The second, Electric Mason of Chris Gordon's, went and won the big. He used to be the Fixed Bush Sayers hurdle on Betfair Chase Day. So clearly, there's good form there. The fact he went on 5-4 favourite for a Cheltenham handicap tells you the yard think he basically has £10 in hand. So there'd be no surprise to see him reverse the form with the hop shot. The one for me, which I can't get away from, I love this time of year, and I love backing Venetia Williams horses, especially around Sandown and Ascot or handicap chases. In my head, this is Venetia's time, and the softer the better. Green Book hasn't been seen in nearly 2 years, but he is twice a course and distance winner. He won the same race around here, 2022, 2023, a 3-mile handicap hurdle. He was last seen finishing 4th in the attempts 2 years ago. He's now at a £5 lower mark. He's still only an 8-year-old. He's 25 done with 365. And as soon as this call ends, I'm going to go and back Green Book for this race, because if anyone can get them fit and ready, raring to go at this time of year, it's Venetia Williams. Green Book. I'm having a quick scan through the form, convinced myself this horse is should be a fraction of the price. So Green Book 25-1 to me, just back that and collect.
Very nice. I will probably be a bit boring here and stick with the favourite Kiki Joe, just because the Hobbs team have been having a few winners of late. I was quite taken the same as you, Paul, with that performance at Cheltenham. So I'm probably going to stick with Kiki Joe to take this quite a nice price, around 92. Callum Pritchard, a jockey in form as well. He's had 5 winners in the past 2 weeks, and he does take those £3 off. So I think a really, really good chance for Kiki Joe to perhaps assert a little dominance here. Green Book there for you, Jack. And Paul, what was your final selection in this? Did you say Kiki Joe as well?
Yeah, I'm with Kiki Joe, but I do see Jack's point about the Venetia horse. And if it is ready to roll, I think the market will tell us if
Correct,
the horse is ready after 2 years. If we see a little bit of a nibble from that 25 down to 14s or something like that, then I'd probably not be as brave as Jack on this occasion. I'd let him weighed in at 25s, but if I were to see it at around 16 or 14s and a bit of momentum from the right quarters or whatever, then it could be one for the each way players.
Absolutely, and you can't argue with the fact that it is Venetia's time of year. Speaking of the weather and the rain, though, we're going to turn our attentions to the Becher Chase at Aintree. If you're heading to Aintree at the weekend, well, you've definitely got a bit of rain around at the moment, but quite some windy weather as well, with gusts of up to 24 miles per hour on Saturday. There is a little bit of rain in the forecast, a little bit of sunshine as well. And as I mentioned earlier, no different to Sandown, you need to wrap up warm because there are some single figure temperatures. At the moment, the Grand National course is described as good to soft. Obviously, with the Becher Chase, they do go over those larger obstacles. And at the top of the market, my personal anti-post selection for the Grand National, hoping and praying he gets in this time, is Mr. Van Gogh for Sarah Bradstock. In here as well, you've got Gaborio for Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero. You've got Gallia Deletto there for Tristan Durrell and Dan Skelton. White Rhino. You've got Bioluminescence Science, Western in the Park. Bill Baxter, quite a good little runner there for Warren Grey Tracks and Sam Twiston Davis. You've got Excello for the Henderson team if you're following that Henderson form. You've got Monbeg Genius, Val Dancer, Mahon's Glory, Old Boy here, 13-year-old Roy Marge, and Twig as well, bringing up the market. Jack, will flip the tables. We'll come to you first for this one. Quite a nice market. 13 runners out of a maximum field of 30. It's not the biggest ever. It's not a Grand National. But who do you think will take to these obstacles and who do you like?
Wide open race. I could see your angle of Mr. Van Gogh. I do think it's asking a lot first time out of 12 stone, career high mark of 152, especially when he's got probably more lofty targets later in the season. I don't know if he'd like the ground as quick as it's probably going to be at Aintree. Again, if it's on the quick side of good, or if it's not good than soft, you'd worry lumping that weight around. I guess I've always liked Monbeg Genius. I'd be interested to see. He disappointed in the National last year. I think he could run a good race. Interesting that the John Joe O'Neill yard have had a very quiet time of things. So it'd be more of a watching brief for me. But two horses that have caught my eye. Twig, who, not just because it was my childhood nickname, I was very fat. People are very clever. He won that Veterans Chase at Sandown on his return of 142. Only got up £1 for that. Bo Morgan takes up 5. I think I'm surprised he's as big as 25, 33 to 1 in places. I think he's always been a good jumper of fence. I think he'll run well over the fences. And Bill Baxter, who I actually backed when he won the Topham, 2-3 years ago. I think it was Darryl Jacob riding for Warren Grey Tracks. Yeah. And I was there at the time, 20 to 1. It was very. I don't like after time winners. I did actually. I was at Aintree for this card 3 years ago, and I backed the 50 to 1 winner in the last. So well, people go back before anyone else gets in. I was surprised Nick said for his 30th birthday. Hello, Nick. But yeah, Bill Baxter for me, he jumps really well over these fences. He had a nice little tune-up over hurdles at Newbury a few weeks ago, just to blow the cobwebs out. He won a really nice race at Punchestown to finish the season off last year of 126. I know he's got up a stone for that, but I think Sam Twiston Davis is probably one of the best riders over the national fences we've got this side of the Irish Sea. Given his form and given his prep, I think Bill Baxter, for me, he'd be the one for me around the 10 to 1 mark. But great race, great to see the national fences out on Saturday. And yeah, I will be glued because there will be plenty of further injury clues coming from this race.
I think it takes you back to the times of like Baby Run when you think of Sam Twiston Davis over those national fences as well.
And Willie, yeah.
I think Willie tried to emulate it, didn't he? The following year, and like unseated near the last or something like that. I seem to remember. But you are right. I do agree with you. Nice trainer in form as well, Warren Grey Tracks. He is having a few winners at the moment. Paul, would you agree? Do you like the look of Bill Baxter or Mr. Van Gogh, or Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero have got a couple of good runners in here? Do you fancy either of them?
Well, I certainly think Mr. Van Gogh is a terrific horse. If it's soft ground, as we hope it, as I certainly hope it will be on Saturday, I think he'll still go very well despite it being his first run of the season. But what I would say is that because I'm a bit of an anorak, of course, when it comes to racing, I actually went to have a look at the weather cam in Liverpool earlier this afternoon, and I was frozen just watching it because at Albert Dock it was absolutely tanking down, and in other parts it was slinging it down as well. So I'm expecting it to be much closer to soft ground at least on Saturday. So a little bit of early legwork done there for my subscribers. I think Mr. Van Gogh is going to go very well. Of the two Greenall Guerrero runners, obviously Gaborio has twice placed over these fences, but White Rhino is a horse. I think he's one of the best looking chasers I've seen for a while. He's a gorgeous looking horse, and he didn't run badly behind Colonel Harry to say he was very badly hampered early on in the race. And so he had a bit of a sighter there and has dropped £4. But there's a few in this race that I would draw your attention to. I think Val Dancer is interesting, especially if it comes up very wet, because he's a Welsh national winner in soft ground. But I'm going to put up one at a big price here, and this is the oldest horse in the field, Wamage, for Patrick Griffin and James Reevely. Now, this is a horse who a few years ago put in what I think is one of the best rounds of jumping I've ever seen at Aintree, certainly since they've modified the fences and reduced the size of them. He was absolutely foot perfect, and you remember that very famous clip that's been played many times on social media of Felix de Giles actually giving him a pat down the neck after one absolutely spectacular leap on the final circuit. Now, he's an old horse, but as you've just mentioned, Izzy, Baby Rum won it. I think he was about 14. He's won over the Aintree fence. Oh, it might have been Hello Bud. Yeah, you're quite
You're
right.
absolutely right. He did win this at
Yeah.
14 years old because I backed him.
It was he was a real old boy.
Old boys,
So,
yeah. The old boys love
yeah.
this one.
Well, yeah. So that's why I'm interested in it. So Wamage at 13, is a relative spring chicken, and of course, he's finished twice in the top 10 in the Grand National. He doesn't quite stay the 4¼ miles. He loves soft ground, so if it comes up wet, it's going to help him. And also, he arrives on the back of a win when he was last seen at Crayon in France, where he won 3¾ mile listed handicap chase on soft ground. And James Reevely is coming over to ride him from France. So 33 to 1 each way. Wamage will be my choice here. And whatever happens, I think you'll see him putting in an exhibition round over the fences. I just hope his old legs will keep him going for as long as possible.
Just on Paul's point there as well.
You on the show, Paul, because we need a 33 to 1 selection from you. That's set the world on fire. That has a bit of the old Roy Mage. Are you agreeing, Jack?
I'd say James Reevely is the most underrated national jockey in the game. I started following because I had family that used to be up near his old man Keith, and obviously his grandma Mary used to train back. My dad would always back Mary Reevely runners. Yeah, exactly. But the week at Cheltenham, you'd always be looking for the Reevely horses around Sedgefield on the opening day because they generally chop it right off. But James is a fantastic pilot. Whether he keeps the ride on the King George horse, as I say, Tom, we'll see. But yeah, I just want to say James Reevely is just fantastic. Just because he doesn't ride over here and he's based out in France, he seems to get overlooked. But fabulous rider. And yeah, I think as Paul said, you'll see the two of them put out an exhibition on Saturday, regardless whether he gets his head up front or not.
Yeah, when I think of James Reevely now, I just think of Ville Francais. I can't help but, that's my mind goes straight to that original victory at Kempton before he got collared by Banbridge in the King George. God, that was just one hell of an exhibition. And like you say, a great jockey to have on board their Paul selection of Roy Mage. Jack fancies Bill Baxter. I boringly do fancy Mr. Vango. I do think he's got a steep uphill task, bless his heart, but classy horses can carry weight. I'm just really excited to see how he actually takes to those national fences. Obviously, I have a vested interest with an anti-post selection for the Grand National. I'm hoping that he obviously takes to them well. Otherwise, I would have taken a pretty poor price. But yeah, Mr. Vango for me. But that is all we have time for in today's show. Hopefully we've found you a winner of the Tingle Creek, the Becher Chase, or even maybe that Pertemps qualifier as well. Don't forget to join us again next time.